What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where in this one, we're going to talk a little bit about Trey Hendrickson, the situation involving him. Feels so much like the L'Jarius Sneed situation from last year when we were talking about, oh, this is what we need. Let's go get him. And of course, we end up not doing that. So as we get into this, if you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like button. Helps the channel a lot. Make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime we drop any content on this channel. But as we get into this one, talking about Trey Hendrickson, and this coming up again just because some of the stuff that I've been sent, some stuff that I saw yesterday that was coming out, of course, with the Jamar Chase and T. Higgins contract, like, well, now what's going to happen? And we kind of talked about it in the video yesterday about that situation. If you hadn't seen that video, then this will be a good video for you to watch. But you might hear me say some of the same stuff if you did see that video. But when you look at this situation, it's like, how much of the, and it's like everybody is on the same page with this. Like, you paid all that money to your quarterback and 2 wide receivers. You also paid a tight end a little bit of money. So can you really, like, how much are you willing to damage your team by paying Trey Hendrickson what he wants, right? Trey Hendrickson is due $16 million this year in salary. And so when you look at these other guys, like Danielle Hunter just signed for $35.6 million, right? Getting a raise of like $16 million for this year. It was something absurd. He got a huge raise for this year. And I think if you did make that trade, you could do a similar thing for Trey Hendrickson and give him a raise this year. And then obviously next year would be massive, right? And this is the way I see it, okay? So I think it would be tough for us to get this done in terms of needing to fill the rest of the roster with some depth pieces here and there, needing to sign the draft picks. It would really handcuff us in a way. But like we've already talked about how we can open up so much space if you restructure DeForest Buckner, which is one that would have to happen. If you're going to trade for Trey Hendrickson, you have to restructure DeForest Buckner. Now, you also in there restructure Michael Pittman Jr., Quentin Nelson, right? These are 3 guys that we know are going to play through anything that they can possibly play through to be on the field. These are 3 guys that if you're going to give more guaranteed money to people, these are the guys on the team you want to do it to, because, you know, as long as they can be on the field, they're going to be on the field. That's who those guys are. So that's who I would be fine giving some of that guaranteed money to, right? The bigger signing bonus, so you get that money up front and boom, it opens up more money. And we can open up over $50 million in cap space if we were to do those 3 restructures with what we currently have. Braden Smith restructuring his contract. And so all in all, man, there's a way to get it done and still be able to do what we need to do to build the rest of the team. And it really comes down to, of course, it's not all the Irsay, but like Irsay has to be fine with giving this money up front. I'm sure Chris Ballard and his team are having those discussions of, hey, what can we possibly move around? What could we possibly do if we make this happen? What do we need to do? Those sorts of things. And again, at the end of the day, man, like if we were to do that, if we were to restructure those contracts, you make that trade, like, how all in are you? We've talked about being all in for years. Of course, with Anthony Richardson not being proven, right? You have Daniel Jones coming in for competition at the quarterback position. So with him not being proven, how all in do you want to go? And I think it really becomes like, hey, let's go all in on building around the quarterback right now and putting everything around him so that we don't have to worry about the rest of the team, really. And we know if we fail, it is because of quarterback play. You go get Trey Hendrickson, that's what you're saying, is we believe we have an incredible team, because I offensively, I think we're good outside of the quarterback, and we got to get the quarterback to be able to play better. On defensive side, man, I think we filled out some good holes. We need to figure out some depth in different places. But you add Trey Hendrickson, and we get so much better. At least that starting lineup gets so much better. So I think that would be a good approach, is going and getting Trey Hendrickson. And this is why I would be okay with it, because in terms of draft capital, again, Danielle Hunter just got paid $35.6 million 1-year extension. So with in getting a massive raise this year. So at the end of the day, man, I just think with the money, 35 to 36 million was where I had Trey Hendrickson. He's probably above that now. We're probably looking at 37, 38 million for Trey Hendrickson. And he's probably going to want a big raise this year, which again, we can make happen. But with as much money as he's going to be warranting, right? With the money he's going to want per year, the trade capital not going to be anything like what the Bengals want it to be. Like, sorry, dude, but somebody's about to pay this dude almost $40 million a year. That's more than quarterbacks. And there are some higher level quarterbacks in the NFL making that, right? That's not far behind Patrick Mahomes. So it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. The draft capital is not going to be there. The Bengals, that's what's really holding us up. The Bengals want a first-round pick. They want probably even a second-round pick. They're probably, at this point, okay with taking a second round. But who's going to do that? Right? As time goes on, the Bengals lose leverage. And that's the way this goes. The closer we get to the draft, the more the Bengals lose leverage. And they've lost even more leverage because Trey Hendrickson said that he's just going to sit out. There are reports saying Trey Hendrickson could sit out the 2025 season. So one way or another, bro's probably not playing for the Bengals. And of course, he just wants a new contract, right? Myles Garrett was talking, I want out. I'm never going to play here again, and and then gets $40 million a year, right? Money talks. So if the Bengals paid him, of course, all of this means nothing. But it's unlikely, I feel like, and everybody feels like it's unlikely that they pay Trey Hendrickson. It'd be terrible business to pay Trey Hendrickson, to be completely honest with you, for trying to build a winning football team. I just don't know how you can look at how much you're paying 4 guys on the team. Be like, oh, yeah, we did the right thing here. So it feels like Trey Hendrickson probably going to get moved. And when he does, like, my thoughts on it are, again, if you give him, 30, let's say you give him 37.5 a year, and even that might be a little much, might even be 36.5. But actually, let's just split the difference and we'll say 37, right? So you give him 37 a year, giving a pay bump this year to get him up to 37, and 37 next year, slotted for 37 the year after, but only the first 2 years are guaranteed, so that by the time you get to that third year, you see, has his production dipped? Has he been dealing with injuries now that he's over 30 years old? Like, what's happening now that he's over 30 and going into that third year? We can decide, do we want to keep him? Do we want to let him go? Is it better for us to let him go and let him find a different opportunity somewhere else? Because, hey, at this point, like, if Anthony Richardson develops, if he begins to get better, just like Josh Allen did, don't give up on Anthony Richardson just yet. If he continues, if he comes in 2025, and it looks like the development is starting to take over, his age, his experience, those things starting to take over, and he's starting to get better, right? We can build with Anthony Richardson. By the time Anthony's ready for a second contract, right, we pick up the 5th-year option. By the time he's ready for a second contract, you can decide whether or not you still need or want Trey Hendrickson. At that point, on that last year that has no guaranteed money, because you've got the first 2 years fully guaranteed. First 2 years, fully guaranteed. That last year, you can cut bait with him, because at that point, we will have had a defensive coordinator that plays his best 11 players on defense, and Latu is going to be a star. It's just a matter of playing time. You need to keep him on the field. He's going to be a star, and we're going to have him on that defense. And then you go into the draft here either this year or next year or the year after, start finding another defensive end, start adding to the depth on that defensive end position, because Quiddy's going to be gone. And so at the end, like, there's a roadmap for it, man. There's a roadmap for making it work, and there's a roadmap for doing it in a way where it's good for the player, where he gets 2 years fully guaranteed. If it's not working out and he's getting older, he wants to go somewhere where he can win a championship. If that ends up not being us, right? If Anthony isn't making the development, if we don't figure it out and we're not winning, Trey wants to go somewhere else after 2 years with us, boom, that helps him out. He can go somewhere and chase a ring for those last couple years. So I think there's a win-win here. It would be a lot of money. It would make things tougher for us, that's for sure. But with the way the team's built, Like with the way the salary cap is, you already have Charvarius Ward. Like all the best players on our team are like already factored in, right? And some of those players are still on the rookie contract. So I just think I think we're in one of the more advantageous positions to make this happen. There are obviously other teams that have more cap space. There are other teams that have needs, right? I know, over there on Detroit Lion Center, on Lion Syndicate, with Derek, he's going to want Trey Hendrickson. At least I assume he would want Trey Hendrickson. So at the end of the day, man, I think the Colts are in a good position to get this done. I think it would take a defense that's already gotten significantly better, between a defensive coordinator who's going to have a different approach to the game and the guys that we've signed for the defense. I think the outlook is good. You bring Trey Hendrickson, it gets even better. So those are my thoughts on this situation. Of course, I want to know what you guys are thinking on everything, right? Again, Trey Hendrickson could sit out 2025 season. So Bengals continuing to lose leverage, draft capital, not going to be what they want it to be, and the contract's going to be big for Trey Hendrickson. That's what we're looking at. So again, your thoughts down in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime we drop any content on this channel. Of course, appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.